Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
Here with a local team-oriented company, Origination in Rosemount is looking to hire warehouse and production technicians.
Live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
I just mentioned to you, Bill Torrey died, the man who put together four straight Stanley Cup winners, the New York Islanders. Big buddy of Louis Danny's. I texted Louis and sent him my condolences because when Louis created the enclave in West Palm of NHL general managers, and then they'd have all their meetings at this enclave in West Palm Beach, where Louis basically walked 20 feet to go to the meeting, and the first other guy to move in was Torrey. So he and Torrey were like lifelong buddies. And,
who's that?
And even though, in '81,
short
Louis
of the Canadiens,
was
who's won four straight cups? Nobody.
Edmonton did
Edmonton win four straight?
with
Boys,
Gretzky.
look it up on the interwebs.
They won four, I think.
How many teams have won four straight Stanley Cups?
And then
Reeves is on it.
Then they lost Gretzky and won the one without him. I think they won 5 out of 6, but I might be wrong.
What were the Islanders' years? 80, 81, 82, 83?
Were we the second one? We were, yeah, something like that. Boy, were they good. They had the feisty goalie. They had the great goal scorer in Bossy. They had Trottier, who was the best center in the league, and nasty.
Did you ever cover a game in their building?
No, you told me it was terrible. It was a dump, and
dump.
And they were still playing in it until about 6 years ago. Right. The same place, yeah.
Forgive me if you said, did you already say Montreal?
Well, I know Montreal's won four straight.
Oh, yeah.
They might have done it more than once.
Oh, they did it with Dryden, I believe, didn't they?
The Penguin can do 3 in a row this year.
Right, but that ain't 4.
I know.
So who else has done 4?
The
The Island and Montreal?
I think that
Edmonton.
might be.
Look up Edmonton, back in the 70s.
That's what I'm looking at here.
Gretzky was...
Started at about 75 and looked towards the 80s.
Edmonton their streak broke up by Montreal. They'd won 2, 84, 85.
Okay.
Montreal won it in 86. Edmonton won it 87, 88.
Okay, so only Montreal and the Island.
And then, how many years later did Edmonton win another one after Gretzky was gone?
90.
And what were the 4 years of the Islanders?
The Island was 80, 81, 82, 83.
You know, I am constantly amazed at my memory.
Your hockey knowledge.
It really is. It's just amazing.
We only lasted 5, right? Or did we beat them twice? Was it 6 or 5?
Well, look it up in 81.
81. Was it 4-1 or 4-2?
That's when I was in the room with them.
4-1.
4-1, yeah. That was no contest.
I'm in the North Star's room on an off day.
Yeah.
The Pope got shot. I've told you this line.
Yeah.
It was Kurt Schelger. Somebody said, where? And I said, in Rome. He went, Christ, I'm not ripping the Lord in vain here. Christ, they got him in his own room.
Yeah, there's some beauties. I was, of course, on a secret government mission during the whole finals there. Yep. So
it was like an expanded Aldrich Arena.
That place. Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Nassau County Coliseum.
Well, you know, the great Russo grew up there on the island. That's where he became a hockey fan, going to that dump, which was all concrete, right? I mean, terrible. It was just like gray wall concrete.
Just
no
depressing.
Paint, nothing.
Pat, you were telling the story yesterday about the hairdo.
Howie the hairdo.
And
when he bought, you remember when Howie, in 1990, he owned the team for about a month, and then he said, hey, I got everything we need except money.
Right. But didn't that same thing happen to the Island? Didn't a guy swoop in and he was going to buy it?
That was the complete shyster guy. There's a 30 for 30
yeah, that's
or
what I'm
something
getting
like
at.
that on that. The guy that had no money. And the Islanders were dead broke.
That ain't the guy now.
They didn't know what to do with him. And this guy came in and had all these phony papers and and he said, and he's basically saying, I thought they'd figure me out before I ever got the team. Pretty soon he owned the team,
Well, the current guy's a Google guy, right? Sergey somebody? The current guy's a Google billionaire.
And they don't like Brooklyn, that arena. It's not a good hockey arena.
I don't blame them. It's not a good hockey arena.
They're going out and they're building their own.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yep, they're building one out on.
Are they going to go back to the island?
Back to the island, yeah.
You got to go back to the island.
Got to
next,
go back
next
to the island.
some big shopping center or something like that. Yeah, he's going back to the island. So, but boy, they've had a long run of ineptitude here.
Mm-hmm.
They who's a great player for him though, the kid at Andrus Lee, the kid from Edina, Andrus Lee.
Where did Torrey learn his chops?
Is it Andrus or Anders?
Where did Torrey learn his chops?
I don't know. Is he a Calgary guy? I don't know. I had his obit here. Where the heck is it?
Hey, why don't you call Louie? I bet he's got some great Torrey stories.
Oh, he is.
Or are you going to have him on your show?
I texted him today. But probably get him on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he was. I'm sure he's pretty shook up about this. I don't know where he started. Well, he's from Montreal.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah. Italian guy in Montreal. 21 years with the Islanders. And the 1-4 straight. Inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1995. And he was a really good guy. I remember meeting him a couple of times. And he put together quite the complete hockey team.
Didn't he have he had a Langevin on one of those clubs.
Dave Langevin.
Yep.
Langevin, great player. Hill Murray, superstar.
Yep.
A hell of a player for him. I think he was on all four.
Joe, I need to ask your advice on this. I told Pat this story already, but the 6-year-old, he's all in. It's every night, every game. We got to watch before he goes to bed.
And now you're just showing him
Winnipeg
tapes.
and Nashville.
You're just showing him tapes now of old Wild games.
He's all in on Winnipeg, and he's rooting for the Transformers, or the Golden Knights, as they are known as. But last night, we're watching Tampa Bay, Boston. And every whistle, they're slugging each other. He looks at me and he says...
little senseless violence after the whistle.
He looks at me and says, Dad, they fight a lot in this sport. I said, so what do I say, you just got to deal with
that's
it.
the way it goes.
Part of the game, son.
Okay.
Part of the game.
Yeah, don't be a wimp. Somebody messes with you, punch him in the face.
Stick up for yourself,
as
kid.
Charles Barkley would say, I'd like to see somebody punch him in the face.
Pat, we had a story today about a high school baseball player
God.
in New Jersey.
Okay.
Who sued the coach and the school board because he was instructed to slide, and upon sliding, he hurt his ankle.
Really?
And he said that was reckless to ask him to slide.
Okay. That'd kind of.
It's almost over.
Now, what happens though if you don't slide and then you're kind of trying to hold the base and you pop a knee or something?
No,
then
this,
you got to.
This fruitcake would have sued.
No matter what. Yeah, no matter what.
Have we thrown it out of court yet or not?
No. In fact, the court reinstated the case.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't be sliding. Okay.
No.
Well, or they should have told him to slide face first.
And his cleats dug into the dirt and turned his ankle. That'll happen.
Yeah,
if you don't do it right.
That happens.
Especially if you're a crummy slider.
Especially if you're a klutz.
Maybe mom and dad don't have a washer. Maybe that's what it is. He wants to worry. He's worried about the laundry.
I don't know.
He should be kidnapped, taken out to the island by Paulie and some of the fellas, and never be seen or heard from again.
We don't know where he went.
We don't know where he went. He's out there with the Russian in the woods.
That's a harsh assessment from Heinrich.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
We got a lot of requests for Heinrich Plus, by the way.
You got to pay extra for that.
Heinrich
Real
Plus
easy.
is an extra
second
subscription.
second light, right, left. It's real easy.
Second light.
That'll get you right to greenhouse.
Hey, dummy.
That'll get you right to greenhouse.
But see, with Henrik Plus, we were saying, how are you doing?
You get stories.
You get stories.
And insults.
Yes. Well, you get insults if you miss. I kind of liked Siri about a couple of years ago when she was more disgusted with you when you failed to follow her instructions. They smoothed her out a little bit now. She's nice to you now.
I never use it. I don't know how to.
God, it's great.
I just don't know how to do
It's
it.
the greatest. It's
I'm
the
sure
best.
I could learn.
It's the best reason to have modern technology. I was in D.C. last summer, And every time I've ever been there, I've been completely lost, except with you when you took us to the CIA.
Well, I can get you around.
Yeah, took us to the CIA. They wouldn't let us in.
We didn't get very far.
They didn't let us in. Dulles Drive or whatever.
You want to look around.
We got to the gate, though, and they said, what the hell do you
think? She got me everywhere. It was fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you what. Just a moment. Rook, I can do this. You go. Yeah. Whoa, hey, whoop. Who's pitching tonight for our boys? Odorizzi?
Is that who it is? Odorizzi?
Yeah. Odor Eaters.
Against the Mighty Whiteys. It should be quite a battle.
Although it's raining right there. Phil
really?
Miller just tweeted the tarp is on the field. They're expecting to play tonight, but we might have some interruptions.
Well,
aren't they in a severe weather part of the country right now, I believe?
Is that right?
That I can't answer.
Those 6,500 people will be very disappointed if it gets rain.
I got a text from a kid I used to have who said he's the proud owner of 6 tickets for White Sox Twins on Saturday.
You don't know if he's going?
I texted back and said, I hope he didn't pay more than $1.50 a piece.
Yeah, it's
although the Whitey's got some young talent that's kind of...
Moncada, I believe, is hurt.
Oh, he
just
is.
got hurt last night, I think. Yeah, they're not hitting at all. They have not been hitting at all. I tried to get my guy Phil Rogers to come on and give us a White Sox scouting report. You know, he got laid off by MLB.com.
I did not know that.
But he's still monitoring Chicago activities, but he had something else going on. So we'll just have to let this big series pass without any advance insight into the Mighty Whiteys. We do have Norm Clark, the longtime nightlife writer from Las Vegas, to tell us about the impact of the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. How excited people are.
You know what? That's a great question, because what does it take to impact a town that is built on impact?
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Yes, it is. I want to know, like you, who's going to the game? Is it guys from the... Is it people who are there to gamble and then they take a 3-hour break and go out and watch the hockey game? Or is it
families
just
from the
all
suburbs?
Local? Yeah, who is it?
That's so sprawling of a city now. It's just everywhere.
I'll tell you what, though. Sports could be the next big thing to bring people to that town, because you're going to have the NFL games and they're going to get 25,000 people a weekend from all over the country.
The NFL might make that city explode.
And, you know, you get the NBA. You know what? The NBA's got to feel like idiots, because they let the NHL beat them to Vegas, and meanwhile they're stuck in Oklahoma City and Sacramento, and
where they
Salt
sell out
Lakes.
every game.
But there's no, you know, Salt Lake City.
There's no flash.
They got all these small towns. And then they're going to let the NHL beat them to Seattle, too. Beat them back to Seattle, where they left.
Well, they left Seattle.
Yes, and they didn't want to. They thought they could blackmail Seattle into building them a new arena, and they let the guy from Oklahoma City buy the team, thinking they'd get an arena, and then they didn't. Stern did not want them to leave.
When is Seattle coming into the NHL?
They still haven't. They haven't received full.
So it's not next year.
Probably 3 years. Yeah.
Who are the people? Are they software people? Microsoft?
I don't know who it
Google,
is, but they must have
Nike?
some money, because apparently they agreed to pay $650 million.
You
know who's running it? They just brought him back from the NFL, Todd Lewicki.
Who's the guy in Vegas? Foley or
Bill Foley?
Bill Foley. What did he pay?
$500.
And Seattle's going to pay $600.
$650.
$650.
Yes.
Is the rink being built in Seattle?
Not yet. They have not started.
Are the guys bringing their? Are they going to bring their own rink? Build their own rink?
Well, they're getting some King County help for it. So,
boy, that was a bad ballpark too. That King Dome.
Yeah, it was
a bad ballpark.
It was concrete. As bad as the Teflon roofs were, the concrete roofs
was
were
worse.
Yes, yes.
Man, I covered some games in some dumps. King Dome, the Island, the
you know what,
Metrodome.
though? You'd rather be in Seattle in the springtime for a game in a dome than one didn't have a roof, because you'd have 28 straight rain delays.
Right.
Rain there every day.
But the new ballpark has got a roof. Got the
retractable.
The retractable. That's great.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm one of the most overrated cities in America.
Seattle?
Seattle.
I never spent a lot of time there, in and out to cover games.
Terrible traffic. Okay, you look at the lake a couple of times. Now what am I supposed to do?
Take a ferry, maybe.
Yeah.
Here's some fish.
That rush hour in Seattle starts at 4 a.m.
I know,
It's
it's
the
brutal.
real deal.
That
Yeah.
5. It's
Kenny,
5.
does the
right?
rush hour even exist anymore in this country, or is it too spread out?
Oh no, we have one here. It starts at 6:30 and runs to about 8:45, and then restarts at 3:45 and runs through 6:15.
All right.
It is amazing.
But you're right, Such. Like places like Chicago, New
It's
York,
24
Philly,
hours a day, isn't it?
Yeah, Boston. Yeah.
Last night I left here at 6:30 instead of 6, and there was
Big difference,
went through
right?
the tunnel 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that would be a
On
speeding
2 wheels.
offense.
Watch out. On 2 wheels.
But
Well,
Seattle,
not quite.
Comes Heinrich.
It's all right. I got Heinrich Plus.
Seattle faces the same thing we face. They have bridges, river bridges, that lake or whatever the
but
hell
more
that thing
than
is.
we do, Lake
yeah,
Washington.
Yeah, and that screws.
Is that a
everything up.
freshwater lake?
Yes, but they can give you a nice fish dinner down there on the waterfront. I'll say that.
I was wondering when you get to that.
Ivers on the
Yes.
that's one of the best
Quite
in
a
the
few,
country.
Not like the saltwater lake in Duluth.
No.
Right, that one. They
Smell that ocean.
salty.
Razorback clams. Ooh, are those good?
Like the ones Rook bought when we were at the Sprint store.
Yeah, I got them at the dollar store. They're
Fresh out of the Gulf.
Those are not razorback. You know how you
Right out of Minnehaha Creek.
You know how you get razorbacks?
How do you get them?
You walk along the beach and you stomp
Really?
on the beach.
On the ocean?
And they're up there breathing a little bit.
But this isn't Medicine Lake you're talking about.
No,
Yeah.
on the ocean.
Yeah.
You stomp on the beach, and they
pay to see
make a little
I would
indent.
too.
They make
Really?
a little indent because they're up there.
No kidding.
Yeah, they make a little indent, and then you shovel like a son of a gun and throw them in your bucket.
I had no idea.
I prefer a mess of mussels.
I don't mind.
I've seen him too. He'll do it. He's like a vacuum cleaner.
You get me a big plate of mussels, I'm diving in.
You know what's the trouble with the mussel though? There's nothing worse than a bad one.
Well,
They got to be primo.
I've
but
never
they're
had a
good.
bad one.
Well,
I got a couple bad ones at the dollar store.
you don't want to get your mussels.
You're right. The mussels
The
weren't quite.
clams are fine in the mustard sauce, but don't get your mussels.
right.
at the dollar
Mussels,
store.
I would say no. You just I gotta tell like it is. You know,
They all rubbery.
leathery. Yeah.
Kenny, you should have seen that haul. He rolled up with $9 worth of the finest frozen fish.
Yeah,
from the
I've
dollar
had
store.
about an 8-course meal that day, huh? Starting with Mr. Sardine
I promised
Appetizer.
I was going to eat a sardine, but when I opened them, I just couldn't do it.
He handed it back to me and said, "Do not throw this away in this store. Go outside."
Put it in the mayor's car.
Yeah, we should have put it in the mayor's car and then drive around through it.
Winnipeg
Like
leads.
Bud when he used to put dead animals in people's cars out at Winter Park, and a week later they'd have a dead chipmunk in their old car. Stink.
Winnipeg and Nashville are the late game tonight, 8:30.
In the peg, right?
In the Peg, and you've got another game tonight. That would be Washington at the Pittsburghs at 6.
How would
I'm
you
sure
like
that's
to-
the Doc game.
How would you like to have been Bud's secretary when you used to open up your drawer? There'd be a live squirrel in there or something. He'd bring an animal for you.
Don't waste it. That's good eating.
Or a stuffed animal, which you could buy at his garage sale coming up in 2
By
weeks.
the way,
Hey, listen to this. I just found an
next week, I
interesting.
think.
Next week?
I hate to interrupt the show.
Yeah.
I found an interesting sports tidbit.
What?
The attendance last night in Boston was 17,565. That's their capacity. The attendance in San Jose was 17,562. Their capacity.
Yeah.
The buildings must be identical.
Pretty close.
Missing 3 chairs in San Jose.
Yeah, where'd they go?
I'll tell you what. I don't think I'll be able to. I'm so stunned by that info. I don't think I'll be able to participate. the rest
I'm
of
sorry. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Maybe if you'd look at the clock instead of the newspaper, we'd keep this thing on time.
Separated by 3 seats.
Yeah, that's amazing,
Let's
Joe.
get Brucey in.
Let's go
Yeah,
attendance
yeah.
around the
Full
league.
lot, Bruce.
Yeah, we'll be back in just a moment. But now, thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota, at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal with Your Money Now. And I bet you found that tidbit interesting.
I do indeed.
Thank
It's
you,
like,
Bruce.
they had like 2 fat guys over there at the
Right.
one place that made up for the loss. It's going somewhere. You know, if you go to the $50 store, you can get the clams they won't sell you at the dollar store. There's a little nugget of wisdom for you.
I appreciate that.
There you go. You get twice as many that way. Stocks wavered between gains and losses throughout today's trading session. The major indexes were mixed at the close. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained a whole 5 points, but that snapped a 5-session losing streak with the Dow closing at 23,930. The Nasdaq Composite did drop 12 points, and the S&P 500 lost 5 points. 3M shares gained more than 0.5%, erasing an early decline after an upgrade by RBC Capital. An RBC analyst cited attractive valuation for 3M after the stock's 4-month swoon. And snack maker Utz has inked a multi-year sponsorship deal with Major League Baseball. Utz is now the official salty snack of Major League Baseball. The company will offer baseball-themed packaging and tie-ins to some of baseball's big events. I'm Bruce Vail with your Money Now on 1500 ESPN.
Okay, thank you very much, Bruce. We'll cut you loose, talk some traffic here. This one's sponsored by KFC. And we have a wreck southbound 35E at Tart Lake Road. Looks like it's blocking the right lane there. That's really screwing up your travel time from the Forest Lake split down to 694, 25 minutes there. Northbound 35W seeing the typical tenuous drive, County C to 694. If you're running between the downtowns, eastbound 94 off the pace from 280 to Snelling, 12 minutes between, westbound between Drama Free, but at 13. This summer, get crispy tenders, a $20 fill-up. The meal includes 12 extra.
Here's John Hyde in the newsroom, Sports Talk newsroom in the TCL broadcast studios.
Thank you, Joe. It's partly cloudy, up to 74 degrees now. Twins open up a 4-game series in Chicago tonight against the White Sox. Jake Odorizzi goes for the Twins. Ronaldo Lopez goes for the White Sox. Ronaldo's 0-2 on the season, but he does have an ERA below 2, so apparently not getting much run support. Jamal Crawford looks like he's going to be one and done with the Timberwolves. The veteran guard will decline his 2018-19 player option to become an unrestricted free agent this summer, according to ESPN. He would have made $4.5 million next season if he had decided not to opt out.
People are thinking this is a traumatic event because he and Butler are buddies, but they can spend that $4.5 million more wisely than the way he played this year.
Derrick Rose, probably.
He was terrible. I'd rather have Derrick Rose than Jamal Crawford.
Bell Center in Montreal, Joe, 21,288, if you're wondering.
More attendance talk, huh?
Well, I know that.
News notes from today. The Wright County Sheriff's Office said they've made an arrest in connection to a shots fired incident in Delano. Authorities are no longer seeking suspects. If you didn't hear about this, it happened Tuesday. Wright County deputies responded to a report of shots fired into a vehicle near the Stalky bus service.
Bleep you guys. If you think that isn't interesting, these two stadiums are separated by 3 seats. There's something wrong with you.
Okay.
All right?
Which one gets more?
Opposite ends of the country, 3 seats apart.
Which one gets more?
I think Boston has more.
Okay.
By 3.
I'm going to write that down.
Have you been into the blow this afternoon or something? What the hell? It's like having a conversation with some guy that's been
listening right now that find that interesting.
Oh, yes, they do.
It reminds me of a 4 a.m. conversation with some guy that's been tweaking for 12 hours.
Hey, man, did you see the San Jose?
No, I'm serious. Really, listen to this. This is important stuff. Okay, I got to go home to bed, okay?
It's night time.
Anywhere.
Yep. Boston.
565 in Boston.
6-5.
Yeah, Boston's 3 seats bigger.
Okay, I'm going to give them a
bigger.
+3 in parentheses.
Yep.
One person critically injured after a dispute led to gunfire today at Opry Mills Mall in Nashville, according to Nashville police. The person who was shot was transported to the hospital in critical condition. Police say the suspected shooter is in custody. No additional threats were apparent. Just in case, they are sweeping the mall, Metro Nashville Police, as a precaution.
Johnny, how about the nauseous story in Grand Forks, North Dakota?
Yeah, I had it in my script and took it out, but since you brought it up, they found 4 people dead in a house. 3 of those elementary students, and the other one a parent of the 3. And they say they're still investigating. They can't say for certain there's no threat to anybody else. They won't say for certain if that's true.
Whether
They
it's
haven't
the
given
Where's
mom
the
or-
other
They
parent?
won't tell us whether it's mom or dad.
Correct.
So are we speculating murder-suicide, or are we speculating murder?
We
We're not
aren't
speculating. That's why
they
police
won't tell
said-
us.
Oh, my
anything.
God, this is heartbreaking. No, thanks for bringing that up, Pat.
Well,
You see
I
why
think
I
it's
got
a
mad,
news
John?
story.
You see why I got mad at the 104-year-old scientist who's angry
Yep.
because he lived so long?
Yep.
The one that went to Switzerland to kill
Yeah,
himself?
we groin kicked him today. The hell with him.
He had a great voice, though.
I don't want to live anymore.
Little kids are dying, and you're complaining because you lived to 104, you greedy bastard.
I agree.
That's good. I'm just giving Rook a number here, and then I'll be right back with you, okay?
Yeah.
Does that look right, Rook? I don't know. Maybe not. And another story, Charlie Rose, back to Charlie Rose, incidents of sexual misconduct by old Charlie, far more numerous than previously known, according to a new investigation by the Washington Post. His name was Goddard, Rook, which also found 3 occasions over a period of 30 years in which CBS managers were warned of Charlie Rose's conduct toward women at the network. An additional 27 women.
Wow.
14 CBS News employees and 13 who worked with him elsewhere said Rose sexually harassed them. His behavior was flagged to managers at CBS as early as 1986 and as recently as April 2017. His response to the new allegations delivered in a one-sentence email, "Your story is unfair and inaccurate."
Okay, the guy that wants to check out at 104, he's not greedy. The word I wanted was he's ungrateful.
Yeah.
That's the word I wanted.
All right.
Yeah.
How about Charlie Rose? You got a word for him?
Greedy.
Horny.
People are horny.
I can barely work up the courage to say good morning to people. I can't imagine what does he just walk around with it hanging out?
The reports, there's
rubbing
one,
it on him?
In this story, this was a longer story. They took this from, there was one incident back all the way to 1976 where literally, Kenny, that's what he did. He walked up, he unzipped his pants, said, "Hi, how are you?" and grabbed her.
Isn't it? Don't you have to put your show together? Why aren't they working?
Put 40 years, and he's put in 40 years since then. He lasted 40 years.
I think Rook
I greatly regret having reached that age. And if one chooses to kill oneself, then that should be fair enough.
Put your teeth in, Grandpa.
Groin kick this guy again. Just give him another one. Maybe they'll keep him from
That deserves this.
Yeah, but to hit him correctly.
Sounded a little like the Sunday morning sports show on WCCO.
I think Mr. Reavers indicated that earlier too.
Don't you have to aim low though
guy
when
was
you're
much clearer.
when you're kicking this guy in the groin?
Way low.
You aim like right around his knees, right?
Right.
Joe, I've Rain Man this, and I'm finding this fascinating.
Boston, he's confirmed Boston does have 3 more seats.
Pepsi Center in Denver, 18,007 for the Avalanche.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden.
18,006.
6?
1 seat fewer.
Yeah.
I can
right,
keep
then.
going if you want.
No, you don't have to.
That's all right. I got more.
Kenny, you going to
Mocked
make
enough.
it to the end here?
I'm eating a cookie. My mic is off. Screw you guys.
You gotta, if you're eating a cookie, you'll love this story, Kenny. 38-year-old woman is home recovering after surgeons in Connecticut removed a 132-pound ovarian cyst that was sitting on her digestive tract. The patient, who was not named, expected to make a full recovery, has since returned to a healthy weight. Dr. Von Indigan said, "I might expect to see a 25-pound tumor, but a 132-pound, that's very rare." While ovarian cysts are typically small and may not cause symptoms, patients can experience pressure, bloating, swelling, or pain in the lower abdomen. The patient had been gaining about 10 pounds a week for 2 months.
That's a bad sign. You ought to go get checked.
That's the size
It's
of
hard to do.
That's the size of a teenager.
Can't you? Can you ask Alexa things like, Alexa, what's the capacity where the Bruins play?
Oh my
You
God!
So you could ask Heinrich that with Heinrich Plus.
Speaking of that,
Heinrich, what is the
Shut
capacity?
your bleeping mouth!
Heinrich
Why do
can
you want
say,
I don't give a bleep.
Why do you want to know this? Useless information.
speaking of that,
Heinrich would challenge you to tell you what you should and are allowed to know.
we got an email, Joe, from loyal listener Terry. Joe's fascination with the 3-seat difference between Boston and San Jose.
Yeah.
I'm with Kenny. Keep that up, and the Hubbards will make sure that there's a 3-seat difference during sports talk.
Those wheels already in motion.
A woman was
that's gallows humor.
We all wish it wasn't true.
North Carolina, a woman arrested after leaving her pet squirrel in a hot car, according
Like
to the
Bud.
Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. Who's Bud?
Well, then.
But Grant, those were already dead.
Oh,
though.
those were, yeah. I got you. The owner of the Sugar Glider Flying Squirrel, Amanda Davis, had been charged with ill treatment of animals. About 2:30 in the afternoon, May 1st, Animal Care and Control responded to a call regarding an animal locked inside of a car. Animal Care and Control officer alerted to the animal being in the car around 1:15, says his office might have been notified as early as noon that same day. Police said Davis's roommate became concerned and called police after she saw Davis put the squirrel in her blue Honda Accord before she left the house.
And you thought my stadium comparison was not
Her roommate narked on her?
Her roommate narked on her. That's correct.
Wow, they must hate each other, huh?
Authorities removed the squirrel from the car just after 3 o'clock. Davis got there 5 minutes later. She told officers she had put it in the car around 1 and left.
Well, how would you like to have a roommate who has a pet squirrel?
That's a good point. Didn't think of that.
That should be enough
Maybe that's what set her off.
indication.
You know, the gallows humor, I just had this thought. I just want to get run off with a couple of months left on my contract. That's all.
Got it. We'll note that. We'll note that.
Well, about a year ago or so ago, what did I just say?
right around
One
there.
too many goes.
Thank you very much. A writer for The New Yorker, Maria Konnikova, announced that she was diving into the world of professional poker as a new player because she wanted to write a book about the experience.
All right.
Yesterday, Poker News reported the actual writing of the book is on hold because Konnikova, under the guidance of pro Eric Seidel, has gotten too good at poker.
Oh, really? She's making too much money.
In January, she won $86,400 by beating a 240-person field at the PCA National. In her first tournament, after deciding to drop blogs for cards, she won $57,000, according to Poker News. She said, PCA was the moment where everything kind of came together. I'm learning and it's sticking and I'm playing well. It's really a wonderful feeling when you're studying and working to have that validated. Her success forced Konnikova to reevaluate her plans with an opportunity in what could be a historic poker event in the horizon. Konnikova decided she had to push the book schedule back, go all in on poker for the time being. She's ramped up her schedule in terms of both what she'll play in and quantity of events. Paid off immediately, finishing second in that Asia Pacific Poker Tour, a Macau event, for almost $60,000.
I did a column last year on Danielle Anderson from Lake Crystal, who has turned it into a occupation out there in Las Vegas, and she made the World Series this year. Last year she made the World Series.
A janitor who found $325 million worth of gold bar, according to police. 7 gold bars were found April 26th in a trash can at the Incheon International Airport in Seoul.
Stop right there.
Yes.
7 bars were worth how much?
$325 million.
How big were the bars? That seems too much.
Big.
7 bars?
Big. Really big. Like,
About like that. I'd say it like that.
Like those- no.
Ask Heinrich. I'd say about
Yeah.
that. About that big.
about this big. That's how they are. But it would be like the Costco peanuts. They're not just large peanuts. They're super extra large peanuts. So those are super extra large bars of gold.
Yep.
325 mil, huh?
Yep.
I wonder who accidentally threw them away.
Well,
that 104-year-old guy, maybe?
Investigators said the gold bars are believed to have been ditched by 2 men who were transporting the bullion from Hong Kong to Japan. The men are believed to have abandoned the gold because they were worried about being searched by customs. Police said the owner has to come forward to claim the
Should have
gold.
went to customs and said, hey, let us through and you can have one of these.
Give me a bar.
Yeah. The owner must come forward to claim the gold or else the $325 million will become property of the janitor.
This is going to be worse than the Prince situation. Yeah, those are mine.
The worker will not be able to claim any of the gold or money if it turns out to have been linked to criminal activities, though. According to
Then it goes to the police.
This
there's no
hooplehead turned him in, then, is what you're saying.
turned in.
Well, how did they find out? Why didn't you just throw him in his car and take off?
Well, yeah, he said, hey, I found these gold bars. Sure.
What a jackass.
Because he's honest, Ken.
Oh,
He
my
probably
God.
also had
What
no
an
idea
idiot.
what they were. You know,
Yeah.
If they might have thought some, cement painted gold or something.
Weird story in Newton, Kansas. Police took a 24-year-old man.
A couple of guys didn't break into the Cutter farm and kill everybody, did they?
No, that was a while ago.
That was a weird story.
That was a while ago.
Great story, but a weird story.
Police took a 24-year-old man to the emergency room May 1st after he was found attempting to have sex with a car.
With a car, okay.
Well, you can do it.
Lieutenant Scott.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can get them.
Lieutenant Scott Powell of the Newton Police Department said we were called to the 1200 block of East Broadway to a report of a naked male underneath a car.
Oh, the tailpipe deal.
He was attempting to stick his swimsuit area into the tailpipe of the vehicle.
How could you do that laying under the car? You'd have to be behind the car.
Come on, let's go out back. I'll show you.
Right. Here's how we're going to do this. You tell the car.
How would you have sex with a car?
Heinrich doesn't get into porn.
This is how we're going to do this now.
No comment.
If he did, he might say reverse cowboy or something. But he doesn't. But Heinrich doesn't get into that.
Oh.
Heinrich doesn't get into that.
When you put it that way, now I can see it.
According to Lieutenant Powell, the suspect did not
Throw
respond.
her in neutral for a little bit here. Heinrich's getting a little sweaty.
Did not respond to officer commands, and officers used a taser to subdue
I'm
him.
almost done.
Powell said he was high on some sort of drug. Officers were there, and he continued to try to have sex with the car. He wouldn't listen to commands, so they had to tase him.
Well,
You can watch, but it's going to cost extra.
once again, there's something going on out there we don't know anything about.
Yeah, it's drugs.
And
Good-
the nice
good
thing
ones.
is, before the internet, we didn't have to know about
Didn't have to know about
Didn't
that.
have to know about this. We didn't have to know it was how goofy they were. We just knew there were a few goofy people.
The man, who will likely be charged with a misdemeanor of lewd and lascivious behavior, was intoxicated, according to police, to the point of being nearly incoherent. He had a blood alcohol level of 0.35.
I don't mind these stories when it's in China, or Romania. I don't like it when it's in our country, the greatest country in America.
What kind of car was it?
Greatest
John?
country in America or the world?
Yeah, well, it's the greatest. There's North America. There's
It's
there's
one
all
of the
kinds
greatest of the Americas.
Of the Americas.
We're top three.
We're in the top
four,
three.
yeah.
What,
We used to be behind Brazil, but they got some issues. So.
you going to tell us what kind of car it was?
Yeah, it was a Cadillac Eldorado, Kenny.
Wow.
All right.
Hard to satisfy one of those, man.
I'm just
That's
going to
a
start
big car.
I'm just going to make up answers from now on. You guys ask me questions.
I bought it.
Hey, Royce, that's the Sarah Sanders of automobiles, baby.
Yeah, I'd have to settle for a Prius, I think.
Did you, Kenny, did you catch Sarah today?
No.
She was a little off her game because she had no idea what was going on. So
She had no idea about the Trump?
well, Rudy kind of screwed everything up,
Okay.
and she just told them basically she didn't really know
What John's
was
trying
going
to say, Kenny, is she was extra yelly.
Yeah,
Big
she was-
party in the White House tonight, though. They're celebrating Machiavelli's birthday. It's Machiavelli's birthday today, and Donald is celebrating.
That's clever.
Yes.
In Stamford, Connecticut, police say this is amazing. A 3-year-old girl survived with just minor injuries after falling 5 stories from a window and landing in freshly spread mulch.
Wow.
Stamford police told The Advocate the girl fell from the apartment building window a Tuesday afternoon. She was moving and crying when found, taken to the hospital, non-life-threatening injuries. Sergeant Brian Butler says the girl is being watched by her sight-impaired grandmother.
Huh? Oh, was being, okay.
And an aunt when she opened a window and fell next to the parking lot. Butler said even though the apartment was...
Sounds like a Three Stooges sketch.
Butler said the fall was the equivalent to about a 4 to 5 story
So what we've
building.
learned here is it probably wasn't the best idea for the sight-impaired grandma to be in charge of watching the child.
When I first read the story, Chris, that was the first thing I took from it too. Yeah.
Ah, no,
I
don't
went
worry.
to- I
Grandma's
went to
watching her.
I went to A Quiet Place last week. The horror movie, about
okay, sure.
how if you make
Oh,
any
yeah, with
noise,
John
if you
Krasinski.
make any if you make any noise, a monster comes and eats you.
Sure.
And these 2 little kids, these 2 younger kids, fell into one of those grain elevators and
In the
started
movie
getting-
or in the theater?
In the movie, getting sucked in. And that was very creepy. I didn't want those kids to suffocate in the grain. So.
How do they get all the corn in the silo?
You can do it.
Jesus.
I'm
God
not even
almighty.
joking.
You can get them in there.
A few of those,
trucks.
you get a few that
They got
explode
trucks
every
with
year.
things
You're
that
both lucky
Like
Kenny
a
left the
beltway?
room.